I want to show you a new paper that just came out in a leading peer-reviewed scientific journal. The paper claims to have compelling evidence on human evolution. The paper focuses on the evolution of the heart. Let's start with the press release. So here is that press release. Study on architecture of heart offers new understanding of human evolution. An international research team has uncovered a new insight into human evolution by comparing humans' hearts with those of other great apes. That sounds very interesting. Despite humans and non-human great apes having a common ancestor, the former has evolved larger brains and the ability to walk or run upright on 2 feet, to travel long distances, and likely to hunt. So, as usual, I say keep an eye out for the infinitive form. Here we have 2 of them, to travel and to hunt. The infinitive form is so often a tip-off to teleological language, an underlying goal or objective that is being stated. Evolution occurred in order to do something. In this case, to travel, to hunt. That's teleological thinking. That's the final causes of Aristotelianism, final causes, to travel, to hunt. This finding supports our hypothesis that the human heart may have evolved away from the structure of other non-human great apes to meet the higher demands of humans' unique ecological niche. So again, the evolution happened for a reason, for an objective, a purpose, to meet. There was an objective was in mind, in view of the evolution that happened. Now that was a quote from one of the researchers of the paper. Here's a quote from another one of the researchers. In evolutionary terms, our findings may suggest selective pressure was placed on the human heart to adapt to meet the demands of walking upright and managing thermal stress. Well, I'm not sure they're keeping their cause and effect straight here, but in any case, it's another infinitive form, to meet. There was an objective. Okay, so that was the press release with some quotes from the researchers which were telling. Let's look at the paper itself. What does it say? We present compelling evidence that the human left ventricle has diverged away from a more trabeculated phenotype present in all other great apes. I didn't see any compelling evidence that random mutations created the human left ventricle or anything else for that matter. It just isn't there in the paper. There is no compelling evidence for that. But skipping down, that's not the point of this video. The point is throughout the material, both the technical paper itself, which is peer-reviewed, by the way, and this is a leading journal, as well as the press release, teleological language pervades. It's ubiquitous throughout the material. And here's another example. This divergent evolution of the human heart may have facilitated the augmentation of cardiac output to support the metabolic and thermoregulatory demands of the human ecological niche. Evolution happened for this reason, for this goal. To accommodate, to occupy, to adapt, to meet again. And then finishing up here in the conclusions, we propose that this adaptive evolution occurred to support the requirements of the human ecological niche, including an augmented cardiac output to facilitate sustained bipedal physical activity, a larger brain, and the associated metabolic and thermoregulatory demands. Okay, so that's the material and the teleological language that appears throughout the material. The problem here, and the reason why we see this over and over in the literature, is that the theory of evolution requires that mutations and all forms of biological variation, but usually it's mutations, are indifferent to need. They must be random with respect to need. They are not targeted to increase fitness or respond to a challenge that just arose from the environment and so forth. They are blind, indifferent to need. Now, evolutionists, and so therefore the entire biological world, the tens of millions of species and all the incredible designs must have arisen strictly by random mutation, indifferent mutations, blind mutations, a long sequence of utterly blind mutations created everything we see in the biological world. That is astronomically unlikely, and that has been pointed out over and over again. It is just not going to happen in this universe. Now, evolutionists will say, oh, wait a minute, wait, you don't understand evolution. Yes, the mutations are indifferent, but we have natural selection. You're forgetting about the natural selection part. No, I'm not forgetting about the natural selection part. Natural selection cannot, according to evolutionary theory, cannot induce the right mutations to happen. It cannot coax, create, induce, or otherwise produce in any way favorable mutations. It only acts after the biological variation has happened. And in particular, it kills off the bad. It kills off the bad mutations or otherwise bad biological variation, the harmful mutations which are so common. All of the favorable mutations or neutral mutations that accrue over time and create all of this world must have occurred without any influence from natural selection. So no, natural selection is not part of the story here. And when evolutionists try and appeal to that, it just shows the struggle that they have to stick to the theory as stated. Thomas Huxley, Darwin's bulldog, sort of as he was called, was good about this. He explained everything I'm saying here. There's no teleology here, but it's very difficult to stick to that when you're dealing with a theory that is astronomically unlikely. And quite frankly, it's easily seen by anyone. You don't have to have training in molecular biology or statistics to see this. This is very obvious to both expert and the layperson alike that this is a non-starter to begin with. It's just not going to work. And so that's the problem. I wanted to explain, why do we see this teleological language all the time? And that is the problem. The evolutionists require it in order to propagate, in order to communicate meaningfully, in order not to go insane as they do their research and communicate with each other. They need to be able to speak in these terms. Oh yeah, evolution did this for this reason. Oh yeah, selection caused this to happen. Of evolution fulfilled this need, met this requirement. And that all kind of makes sense. That all sounds good, but it's phony science. It's not acceptable, and it shows the problem, the underlying problem with evolutionary theory. Religion drives science, and it matters.